gnarly adolescent years. So I decided I had to support myself somehow. I knew I had health issues. I knew I was going to have more surgeries. You know, I knew it. So I had to find a job that could support me and that could help me get through my struggles. So I chose medical reception, so I could learn how that whole industry works, and I do now. So I've been behind the desk. I've been the team with the doctors. I know about coding. I know about all that crap. So when I go in and I receive mediocre performance, especially in nursing or any of that, it really, really ticks me off. And I've got a good relationship with my doctors. Okazaki told me he studied my case. He went to the University of Minnesota, and the long-term follow-up study used to be handled by them. So he told me that, Nicole, I studied your case in college. Like, I already know who you are. So we're close. So when this chick is like, oh, it's just some random, healthy 36-year-old just getting an ultrasound and mammogram and some blood work or whatever, she don't even probably know any of that, because she's like, well, I gotta work through lunch. I'm like, bitch, you're just fucking printing a rec. Shut up. Like, what's your problem? Just print the rec. I'm working through lunch. Eat your Simon in 5 minutes. Leave me alone. So, yeah, I'm just not going to handle any of that. I'm going to give you guys a choice of stories you may want to hear, but I'm going to finish some more of my talk first. And that is, I've mentioned that I'm a participant in the long-term follow-up study held by St. Jude Research Hospital. This is the largest federally funded cancer research study in the nation, there being in the world. So, and I'm one of their cornerstone participants, having been in the study since I was like 4. So, I do know a lot. I do know a lot. So, when your patient walks in the door, you don't know that she's me. You give me a mediocre performance, and you might end up losing your fucking job. Okay, I'm dead serious, because I ain't gonna put up with it, and I'm not the only one. She's not gonna put up with it either. Even if she's gonna tell someone like, that guy really sucks. Like, what's his problem? So you could really screw yourselves just by sucking. So don't suck at your job. Okay, so that means if you don't have the right bedside manner to handle these situations, then it's okay to stay in nursing. That's not a problem. We all need to support ourselves, like I said. I had to find the right profession so I could help save my own life or give myself longevity. So you guys are obviously here in school, paying money, spending time, doing work, so you can have a profession, so you can have money, so you can have a car and a house and a family or whatever it is you guys want to have. Alright, so you got to focus on yourself, number one, and that's why you're here. But that being said, if you're not capable of dealing with real things, then stay in nursing, but get in a position where you're not on patients. There are a lot of financially beneficial ways to be nurses, like in coding. Coders make good money. And if you're a nurse first and then you learn coding, you're on a desk, you're not with patients, you're still helping people because you've got to, the insurance is going to say, okay, so here's a diagnosis. Okay, the diagnosis is number 15873. All right, so 15873 diagnosis, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 choices on treatment. Okay, number 1 being the best treatment, most expensive. The insurance company don't want to pay for that. Okay, so the insurance company will say, we'll give you a 5, to treatment. And then the coder has to say, okay, no, go back to the insurance company and say, okay, actually, it's a 1.1 15843.7923, add to it. And then the insurance company will say, okay, we'll bump it up to a 4. And then the coder has to be like, okay, it's 1.58743-9800.
It's
And
true.
then right, it is true.
Mm-hmm.
And then the insurance company comes back and say, all right, we'll give you this. But if the coder isn't good at her job, if she don't give a shit, then she's just going to say, all right, give it a 5. Because in the medical industry, with the way insurance is happening now, like a breast cancer diagnosis, a pre-cancer diagnosis, all right, 2 years ago would say there's one treatment option, that's removal. All right. Now with affordable health care, the treatment option from the government is recheck in 6 months. All right, so I'm going to tell you right now, if I get a precancerous something in my breast, I'm going to have that shit removed. I don't care what's happening. So, you know, I'm going to find a way, even if it comes out of my pocket. I don't have to worry as much about it because A, I'm an asshole, and B, I know what I'm doing. And C, I don't trust my doctors all the time unless I really trust my doctors. Like I said, I had the best surgeon in the state, and he still fucked me up like 3 times. Okay, so find the best position that fits you for yourself, number 1, but for the patient. They deserve better. You know, you get an old lady in there, and she's going to listen to whatever the doctor says because she's just a sweet auntie. All right, but that is how people die early from a cancer that was found, and then they don't make it because they just trust everything. So, where's my page? That makes me ask you, who do you really work for anyway? Okay, yeah, you're working for yourself, number 1, so you can have the things you want, but are you working for the doctor or the medical center, or are you working for the patient? Like, you know, you're working for the patient because they need you. And sometimes the doctor's like, oh, quick, bomb, good, miss this, da-da-da-da-da. And you're going to get phone calls because you're the bridge line between the doctor and the patient. Because most of these people have no clue what's going on. All right, it's like talking, you know, someone in French talking to someone who speaks Spanish. There's just no idea. Especially here in Hawaii, where there's a real, you know, hardship for some people to understand some of these complicated words because we speak so simply here. So you need to be the bridge between the doctor and the patient. Sometimes these doctors are fucking scumbags. They're there for their paycheck. They don't give a rat's shit. Okay, and you guys are going to know that. Okay, but maybe you guys don't give a rat's shit either, and then that's a really bad situation to be in for this patient. So, you know, no matter what the medical center wants, no matter what the doctor wants, you guys need to be able to have faith and confidence in your own skills to say, this person needs this, doctor, you know, you're wrong. This person needs this, or they're just not going to make it, and that's why you need to love your job, because that's who you work for. So, I'm not sure where else to go from this, but I did pick a few stories to ask you guys which ones you may be interested on hearing. Okay, so you guys let me know which one interests you.
Do I keep filming?
Yeah, is it still filming?
Seems to be.
Yeah, as long as it's kicking, it's filming.
Okay.
Okay. So which story you guys want to hear? How is it that I survived experimental chemo treatments in childhood? Or the day my childhood ended with barium? Or waking up from a coma? Or getting high in the hospital? You want to hear all of them?
Ask Sarah.
Sarah? Okay, that's one of my favorite ones right now. So I've totally got post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, I'm doing really good tonight, probably because I didn't get home till 5 in the morning. I was in Lahaina partying at a sports bar. Fucking hot Hawaiian guy. It was a good time. So, you know, I don't have PTSD right now. But if you're my Facebook friend, you'd be like, what the fuck's going on, like 3 days ago? It's on there because I've got no filter, obviously, and I write some really crazy stuff. And I don't delete it because I'm like, who cares? Celeste comment on something I said. She's like, you got this. Like, don't even trip. Because, like, my follow-up care came, okay, on Tuesday. I went and had my ultrasound, my mammogram, my blood work. I'd like to have more. Not really. I mean, I don't mind ultrasound so much, but when Scott's like, all right, Nicole, when was your last CAT scan? And I'm like, well, it was before they built that new fancy CAT scan building. I go to Maui Medical Group, Wailuku. And he's like, well, I don't know. We may want one. And I'm like, okay, for what? And he's like, well, for your liver, for the liver tumor. And I'm like, well, that thing's been there since I was 17. I used to have a lot of CAT scans in childhood. And, like, I took over my own health care at 16 because that's when you legally can. So I told my doctors, look, my mom's out of it. She's a fucking bitch. I can't take it. Like, I gotta take care of myself. So at 17, I had this, the CAT scan, because back then, I didn't even realize it. I was just like, yeah, CAT scan, no big deal. They're gonna look at me. Kind of a hardship, but whatever. It's not that big of a deal. So I had a CAT scan, and it showed a tumor on my liver. And back then, I was terrified by what that meant. I mean, I was only 17. So they said, okay, we're gonna send you for an ultrasound now. They sent me for an ultrasound, and they were like, you know, we're not gonna do a biopsy. We let it stay. So that was like the last time I ever wanted to get a CAT scan again. And from that point on, I chose ultrasound only. So it really takes a lot for me to say yes to a CAT scan. So I told Scott on Tuesday, like, really, CAT scan? I've had so many of them, and it's really bad. When the long-term follow-up study sends me, you know, research information, they're like, all right, these lead to this, that leads to this, watch out. And every fucking time it happens. So I get really upset when I open them. They're like, all right, patients, the childhood patients, adults now, are all having fertility problems. Boom, fertility problems, okay? You know, they're having thyroid problems. Okay, I've had 2 thyroid surgeries. They're having, you know, heart problems. All right, I've got severe high blood pressure. All right, they're, you know, all right, they're having kidney problems. I'm like, oh dear God, I can't even look at this anymore. Like, you know what? People worry about their shoes breaking. In retrospect, people are worriers. People worry about everything, and like I'm no exception. But like these things were a lot easier when I was a kid. So the day my childhood ended. Yes?
So are you in the study because did you say you did experimental chemo?
Yeah, experimental chemo. So I was diagnosed terminal. So I was put in a study with Children's Hospital Los Angeles, and they told my parents that they were going to throw the kitchen sink at me, and that, you know, I had no chance to live, but they were going to try to prolong my life, and that they were going to hope to learn for future generations if this aggressive form of treatment would work at all. And it did. I was the first small child with a Brobiac catheter, which is what they install to give people chemo, because all of my veins were blowing and they couldn't inject chemo anymore. I was a baby, like 2, you know? So, because they had to shrink the larger tumor with